Good afternoon. Time for the Oklahoma City Riverfront Redevelopment Authority to come to order. Our chairman is absent today, and I have no additional items. Under item 2, we have receipt of map 3 Riverfront Subcommittee activities, item A. Who is? Okay.
There will be more discussion today, I think, on the light and on the mainstream.
Okay. Item B is the update on the Riverfront Authority River Cruises Committee activity.
I don't have an update. I got an email from Pat that the plan is close to being finished, and they'll be presenting that shortly, that the work is being done on that, and hopefully we'll have something by the next meeting. I did notice in your director's report, Pat, that you had a meeting, Chip, took you and the captain over to the chamber for, which I didn't know that was going on, but you want to tell us a little bit maybe about what happened there?
Yes, actually, Chip Minty provided the introduction to the staff person at the chamber who has a great deal of influence with and involvement with group activities, large corporate organizations, and we spent probably about an hour in her office going through a number of prospects that I think will bode well for future, not only charter, but some amount of transit work as well. Very positive, bringing them on board as a river cruiser stakeholder at this point. So thanks to Chip Minty and his involvement with your committee on that.
That's all I have.
Any questions of Pat? Thank you, Pat. Item 3 is our minutes of the last meeting, February 22nd. Any additions or corrections to that?
Move approval.
Been moved and seconded. Please cast your vote. Item is approved. Item 4 is the consent docket. We have 3 items there. Anybody want any of those highlighted? Been moved and approved. Is there a second? Been moved and seconded. Please record your vote. Item is approved. Moving to Section 5, primary agenda item. Item A is receive a report on the quarterly meeting of the Oklahoma River Stockholders Group. Pat?
Mr. Chairman and trustees, there is a report in your packet. Would simply mention as a kind of a summary that we met at the Devon Boathouse. This was one of the first meetings to be held in the Devon Boathouse, and then Mr. Knopp was kind enough to give us a tour, kind of the back of house areas, some of the operational areas that are not typically seen by the general public. A good functioning understanding, I think, was had among the river stakeholders of how that boathouse is to function and what kinds of not only activities that can be supported there, but also what programs will be engaged in over the next number of years. There was some discussion of the number of significant corporate stakeholders in the river project in general, and most specifically in that boathouse district. So the stakeholders came away, I think, with a very clear understanding of the tremendous asset that is represented by that Devon Boathouse. Got very positive comments from all of the stakeholders present at that meeting. And the bar keeps raising. Each of our quarterly stakeholder meetings seems to get more and more interesting and in-depth, and we're looking forward to the next quarterly meeting. We have not set a time nor a topic in focus as of yet, so we're certainly open to suggestions in that respect. And as always, members of the trust are always invited. If there are any questions, we'd be happy to address them.
Yes, Larry?
Pat, if you would, for the record, just state what's going on with Brian Munn and the county commissioner's efforts out there at the Crystal Lake and what progress has been made.
Yes, as a matter of fact, Commissioner Mon has been tremendously engaged in the efforts out at Crystal Lake. In fact, his office has been in touch with us about other potential opportunities for cleanup up and down the river. He has a program that he's engaged in where people who are doing a probationary service are available for free labor, and he has secured some matter of equipment to transport the labor to and from the job site. So he has been tremendously involved in the Crystal Lake area, working very closely with Larry Bross and his organization with the kids program out at Crystal Lake. So I don't have an exact number on the amount of debris that was cleaned, but I can tell you just by eyeballing it that it was a mountain of debris, discarded even car parts, mattresses, furniture, appliances, things that were just, it was really atrocious. And it has set the stage for a very positive development at Crystal Lake. So we're looking at other ways that we can engage the county. Commissioner Mon is very quite frank about the fact that he's got the availability of the labor and would like to put them to use. It's good for the community, it's good for his program, and it's certainly good for the river. So we will continue. David Birch and Wendell Wisenhunt and I met with the commissioner a couple of weeks ago looking at other possibilities up and down the channel. So we'll keep you advised as more opportunities present themselves.
Yeah, the last report, they estimated 1,700 tires had been found. And there, I guess, David, you've been in touch with his representative from CityCare about some no dumping signs out there?
Yes, sir. In fact, I think the signs are ready to be picked up. As of an email I received, and I think David got a copy of at about 11 o'clock this morning, the city's sign shop has produced the signs and they're ready to be installed.
There was a question by Mr. Bross about whether or not the signs could indicate a penalty for dumping. Is that possible?
I don't know that it cites a penalty. It does cite an ordinance number.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments for Pat?
Yeah, just along, and I know that's the second or the next agenda item was about the Crystal Lake, but on the, when I've been working with Larry on that, on the covering for the road, and they've talked about the county was supposed to make a very nice deal about some of that. Do you know for sure where we stand on that?
No, we're looking into it, and we're trying to put together a program where we can provide some measure of the material needed. Some of the material was coming from a private company. I think the last I understood, we were waiting on quantities to be calculated for the exact quantity of material that was needed to build the road bed. You're talking about the road within the park, correct?
Around, yes. Right, correct. And Miles just saw, Kathy and Larry and I were just over there in Miles Davidson with Commissioner Mond. He just said, Brian, we finally got the amount. He says, I think we're cool with the city. He said, it's 80-some hundred, and I said, it's under 9,000, and he said, yes, and I said, is that everything? And he says, I think everybody. So I'm not sure. I was hoping you knew or where it was, because I just hate to see that opportunity slip, whether we need to do something. I mean, if we could get that all paved around now that we finally got that cleaned up for something like that, I just think it would be very good use of River Trust money or something to help make sure that happens.
I'll be happy to put a call into Miles Davidson in Brian's office and make sure that all we were waiting on was the number to calculate the volume of materials, however many tons in the case of asphalt or cubic yards, and in the case of concrete, whatever the material was, we needed a number so that we could then determine exactly how to address the request.
Where do we stand on Southwest 15th Street itself?
Southwest 15th Street is being programmed through the city's Public Works Department. We've had a meeting with them. We've had a meeting with Commissioner Mon and a meeting with a asphalt company that has agreed to provide some, not all, but some of the materials. So that is a project that's being worked as we speak.
Any other questions for Pat?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make a comment going back to the stakeholders meeting. For any of you that have not been to the Devon Boathouse, that is the most amazing facility. Just absolutely incredible.
Anything else? Is there a motion to receive his report?
So moved.
Been moved and seconded. Record your vote, please. Item passes. Item B, report planning session for operation phase development of Crystal Lake.
This is a meeting that was held out at Crystal Lake, engaging any number of the parties involved, and Trustee Doherty was present and actually led a discussion that has led to the development of a kind of a conceptual plan, if you will, and I would certainly defer to Brian in terms of detail of that meeting.
I think Larry Bloss, who's director of City Care, had just asked, I've worked with him on 2 or 3 projects in the past, and he asked if I would come in and facilitate just a planning session, and it was first to make sure that we cleaned up everything we could while we could. Brian Mond's group was really wanting to do things, and they didn't want anything that needed to be undone later on. Part of it was, how many of the eastern red cedars do you really take off the property to reduce the fire hazard but still leave things? And part of it was just a whole series of things about the fish habitat, so people from the city's fishery were there, people from city parks were there, and we just talked about what in a more perfect world, what kind of activities could happen out there and what need to be done. And we identified some people. Ray Ridlin with County Extension's already been out with him to help about the sand burr problem. They've already gotten direction on some of the cattail problem. So I think it was very positive, and it kind of gave the direction from the county to be able to turn around. If you haven't been out there, it's a whole different place. Like, it's just no comparison compared to where we could even drive around it to now where it was. But part of it was access points, what they could maybe do with the building in the future. The building is in pretty bad shape, but it's a good structure, and what could be done. So I think it's going to be a huge asset for that part of the community, for the River Trust, for everything under the kind of operation of City Care.
Any other comments? Motion to receive the report.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Record your vote. Item is approved. Item C is to approve assignment notification transferring all rights and responsibilities under a recreational boat concession agreement among the Riverfront Redevelopment Authority, the city, and OCU to Oklahoma City Boathouse Foundation.
Move approval.
Moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? If not, please record your vote. Item is approved. Item D is approve a renewal agreement among Oklahoma City Riverfront Redevelopment Authority, the city, and the Oklahoma City Boathouse Foundation for a recreational boat concession on the Oklahoma River. Been moved and seconded. Any comments, questions? Please record your vote. Item is approved. Item E is approve renewal consultant services contract between the city Riverfront Redevelopment Authority and Pat Downs.
Move approval.
Been moved and seconded. Any comments?
I just want to comment that, Pat, we really appreciate you continuing with the contract again this year for that 5%. And you've done a great job. I really appreciate all the information that you provide to us.
Amen. Please record your vote. Item is approved. Item 6 is claims. Any comments on the claims docket?
Move approval.
Been moved and seconded. Please record your vote. Item is approved. Additional items. Item A1 is receive the report from the Director of Development.
Mr. Chairman and trustees, the report is in your packet. I think a couple of things worth mentioning. One is that the Boathouse District is really beginning to take shape. The Devon Boathouse completion, of course, the programming that's ongoing at the Chesapeake Boathouse, Chesapeake Finish Line Tower well under construction, and I think it's opening a lot of eyes to what that area can become. I know the MAPS 3 committee is looking closely at the variety of improvements that are to be programmed for that general area, and there is some degree of, I think, real excitement. not only within our community, but I can say that the international community is equally excited about what's going on. We had a meeting with the International Canoe Federation, which is the international governing body of the sport of kayak and canoe. And if you recall, a couple of years ago, we had the kayak Olympic trials here right before the Beijing Games, and they came in to have one of their regular meetings, and they were completely blown away, and I think Mike Knopp would probably agree with what they saw, what they experienced here in Oklahoma City. And knowing of the plans that we have and moving things forward, I think it's tremendous. The other thing that we've spent quite a bit of time with in the last 30 days or so is working with the COTPA staff, Hornblower Marine, and the city staff to develop a kind of a new look at our Oklahoma River Cruises book of business. That was as directed by Chairman Marr's committee on the Oklahoma River Cruises that was appointed by Chairman Norick a couple of months ago. I think we'll have something coming forward here that will be very beneficial in terms of a new marketing look, a new approach to sales, and more importantly, a new look at the way we do business on a day-to-day basis. Everything that has to do with the touch or potential touch of a patron or a potential patron, we're looking into in a really significantly more detailed way than I think has been done in the past, and I think the results are going to be very promising. So we appreciate very much Rick Kane and his staff, Mark Fernandez with Oklahoma River Cruises, Bill Anand is here, his supervisor who comes in from out of state periodically, and in fact, we're going to break up here and go to a meeting to further that conversation here after this meeting. So very, very positive progress we're seeing on those fronts. So if there are any other questions, I would be happy to address them. Otherwise, would request that the Director of Development report be received as submitted.
Move approval.
Been moved and seconded. No additional comments or questions. Please record your vote. Item is approved.
Thank you.
Anyone on the trust have any additional comments they want to bring before us? Anyone in the audience have anything they would like to? Mike?
Mike Knopp here. I just want to echo what Pat had said about the International Canoe Federation. A couple other notes on that. They were here for 4 days. They were from all over the world, Finland, Belarus, Canada, Germany, and they represent one of the larger Olympic governing bodies in the world. They represent 155 federations, and they govern the Olympic sport of canoe kayak. And I think what's compelling about their experience in Oklahoma City is when they bring an event, an international event, they bring 90 countries, over 5,000 people would come if we were awarded one of these events. So we were laying certainly a seed and showing them the potential. I just received an email actually about how impressed they were. They see Oklahoma City as a place for them to help innovate the sport, thanks to what we're doing with MAPS 3, being the first ever international event with night racing. So it presents a very unique and timely opportunity for us, and they were very impressed. We took them to the top of the finish line tower, and it was just stunning up there. So if you would like a behind-the-scenes tour of that, please let me know. It will be done July 1st, and that's the latest plan on that. And finally, I'd like to say tonight we are having an event that's open to the public and everyone. It's to showcase our Olympic hopefuls that are now living in Oklahoma City. We have over 50 of them now, all with very compelling stories, and we're going to really try to get some of those stories out. And that will be at the Devon Boathouse from 5 to 7 p.m. tonight, and all are welcome. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else in the audience have anything to bring before the trust? We'll accept a motion for adjournment. Thank you.